Okay, so what we're going to look at today is how different biblical people groups represent um, archetypes, archetypes of different uh, things in the Christian world. This is a type of something in this is the Old Testament in the physical, real people, real happening, time and space, but it still represents something in the spiritual that is in the New Testament. And about Christianity and how Christians are supposed to relate to the world. So, a little map here. We've got Israel, the Sea of Galilee. Here's the Dead Sea. Here's the other sea. We're not going to talk about that this time. But on this side, we have 3 of the tribes. But we're not even going to get into the tribes this time. So, we'll put that back in just a second. But in the days of Abraham, we have sort of over here. We have a virgin land. This was all kinds of different peoples were here. They really didn't have a complete identity. All kinds of different tribes, and there was no great nations at this time. Just a bunch of people groups. So on this, we're going to talk about this side of the Jordan River. This is the Jordan River coming through here. The Sea of Galilee on the top, the Dead Sea on the bottom, and what we're going to be talking about is how this side is called the East Bank of the Jordan. It's so called the Bible Bashan. Gilead. So the thing about this geographically, about this area, I don't know if it's that way now, but in these days, there were lots of rivers, several rivers, and streams, tributaries, whatever, ran off of it, that fed. Now this was a lowlands. It's flat. Well, that's true still today. This is like a plains. This is mountains. You had to kind of find your way through here. This is all mountainous area, all up and down through here. So this was a well-watered plain. People grew all kinds of crops here. It was great for pasture land, just the rain, just like the Midwest and the United States, where the buffaloes roamed. You know, they had all that food because the rains came, the waters kept it. The mountains are way up here. The waters kept it. The rivers kept the grass growing for long periods of time, and it was well pastured land. It was great for herders, great for farmers. It was fantastic. Now over here it's not so much. It was really a lot tougher because this was watered by rain only. So if you got rain, that was great. If you didn't get rain, you were kind of like California is. You're dependent upon the rainfall. Over here, not so much. You got the rivers. You can irrigate and do all this cultivation. So, what this made this was it became very fertile. It was very fertile. So, if you had, let's say the Philistines were over here, they were a warlike people. Eventually, they got over here. And so what were they? Warlike people. They had war gods. If you have a society that's built on agriculture, you're going to have gods that have to do with fertility. So they had 2 different kind of gods over here. They had your female god, which was Astaroth. And then you had your male god, which was the Baals. So fertility. So they had fertility cults. What a fertility cult would do is in the fall when you harvested, everybody would get together for the big party, harvest party. It's time for the harvest party. So they'd have a harvest party, and during that harvest party, they would worship sex because that's about fertility, and they wanted fertility. So how they did that was they would get together on the high places and have orgies. And from these orgies, they would produce children, of course. And who these children were, who the father was, who the mother was, who the father was, they had no idea. And so they didn't want to take them into their families. They weren't, they didn't want someone, the male of the family didn't want some bastard inheriting any of his property, and neither did the legitimate sons. So what did they do with a lot of the children? They would sacrifice them, human sacrifices, to Baal, the male god, and that would appease him. So this is appeasing the female god, a party, and conveniently, to appease the male god, you murdered, burnt at the stake, sacrificed, and some burning was the main way they did it. They get the babies and throw them into an oven. That was a Baal. So you have this horrible culture that has developed, this sexual culture. Free love sounds good until you start burning your babies, or abortion becomes the number one thing in the country. Most kids are aborted rather than given birth, or a large percentage. So when they have this horrible culture happening, so we're going to see that this culture of the West Bank, or that is the East Bank, culture of the East Bank goes on. The sexual culture goes on for the whole length of the Bible, from Abraham all the way to the very last book of the Old Testament. So it starts with, everybody's heard the story of Sodom and Gomorrah. So Sodom is here, Gomorrah is here, or vice versa. They're along this line. They're part of this culture, this sexual culture. And the thing about sex, most people know, is it satisfies to a certain extent, and then what, you have to kind of up the ante a little bit. You need something fresh in your marriage, or what was super satisfying now is you gotta add a little more to it. Get it kinky. So how kinky this got was Sodom and Gomorrah, which were, these societies were sexually charged cities. And we find it in the story of Abraham and Lot. So first, we're going to find Lot. Abraham and Lot were standing like right here. Right? And they were having trouble with their shepherds. They were fighting each other, saying for the best land, for the best place to water, for the best grazing land. So Abraham said to Lot, okay, you choose. You can go this way. I'll let you have that. You can graze on that side or this side of the river. It's up to you. So Lot looked at it, and he took the best. He goes, this is a well-watered land. It's beautiful. I won't have any trouble keeping my flocks watered on this side. So he went on this side. Abraham went to Israel. That's a whole different story, but this is where it begins in the Bible. Lot heading in this direction. So what he was a shepherd, but what he did is he came down and he settled in Sodom. and became a leader in the community in Sodom. So then at a certain point, the Lord and some angels came down, who probably don't know the story, talked to Abraham. Abraham said, "What are you doing?" He goes, "I'm going down to Sodom and Gomorrah to see if what's going on is really going on." He knew what was really going on. But there's this bartering thing that happens, and this is the reason for him going to talk to Abraham, is this bartering thing. And Abraham says, "Well, if there's 100 righteous men there, will you not destroy the whole town?" He goes, "Yeah, I won't do it for 100. And he goes down and says, "I won't destroy it for 10. And so that's where they leave it. God said He wouldn't destroy the whole town if there was just 10 righteous men that worshiped God and served God in the town. Well, He found one. That was Lot, and so He took Lot. He said, "Lot," He didn't save the town, He saved Lot. He said, "Lot, leave." Lot left the town, and God destroyed. So I'm just thinking, this is the perverse sexual activity that happens over here on this side. So what happened is Lot took his wife. All he left with was his wife and 2 daughters. And his wife was turned into a pillar of salt. Now he's only got 2 daughters, so he's got 2 daughters. So he has sex with his 2 daughters because they think that possibly, we don't know. Well, they don't have husbands. They go, "Well, this is going to be the end of the world." They just saw everything burn up. It says maybe we're the only ones left. Who knows what they're thinking, but they get their dad or father drunk and have sex with them. So they have children, and the first child is called Ammon, and the other child is called Moab. Now there's been a vacuum here because the main culture, the main cities, the kings, they got wiped out. These cities got wiped out. So now there's a vacuum, a population vacuum. It gets filled in by Ammon and Moab. These become 2 great nations. Ammon is right about here. Moab's a little lower. So these nations go back there, same thing. They go to worshiping these 2 gods, the male and female god, and they're into the fertility. Everything about them is about the fertility gods. So they are actually cousins. They're cousins of all of Israel. Israel and Moab, they're not direct cousins, but they're in this line. Lot and Abraham Lot was the nephew of Abraham, so they're physically connected, second cousins, 25th removed or whatever, but there was a family blood relationship between them. So we don't hear from them. The children of Israel go to Egypt. They go there for 400 years. When we first leave these guys, they're just 2 kids. They go there for 400 years, and then Moses leads them back. They're coming back to Israel to take possession of Israel, which is a picture of the promised land. They're going back to Israel. And when they get here, there's 2 great nations there, 3 great nations actually. There's Ammon, Moab, and the Amorites. The Amorites are a people that dominate this area. That is, all of this land belonged to either Moab or Ammon. So the Amorites had come in as a conquering people and had taken over large pieces of it, and were now the dominant force there. Although the dominant people group, that is, the most of the people that had a heritage of living there with Ammonites and Moabites. So interesting. The next interesting thing we're going to find about the sexuality. Here we've already got Sodom, we got incest, and now we're going to find another. The very first time they come around the corner, it says they're talking about the king of the Amorites. Forget his name. It might be Og. So he's a giant. So wherever do we have another giant in the Bible is from the Philistine. Everybody knows that story of Goliath. So how's it describe Goliath? Goliath has got a helmet of bronze. He's got a 12-foot spear. He's got a shield bearer guy that walks in front of him with a huge shield to try to protect him. Said he's got metal. Anyways, he talks about him as a warrior. Everything describing Goliath is that he's a fighter. He's a bad dude. He's a warrior. Now, the king of the Moab, that is the king of the Amorites, this is how it describes him. He sleeps on a bed that is 9 feet long. 9-foot bed. Here's the description. Here's how the Bible is characterizing the king of the Amorites. He sleeps in a big bed. Well, that just tells you something about the culture, about what the king had, what the king enjoyed, what the king was all about. This is all about passion and lust and fulfilling the lust of the flesh and sensuality. So Og sleeps on a big bed. That's all it says about it. So then we're going to see about this culture of that develops over the hundreds of years in the Bible from when the Israelites come in here. It's about close to 1,000 years of their relationship with Moab. And it's always, always, always a sexual relationship that is an influence from here over here. So this is, going to a symbol of Christianity, the new birth, a new life in Christ. And this is the outside of that. We're going to see that there's a connection. There's a healthy connection, and there's an unhealthy connection. Who knows if there's a healthy sexuality and unhealthy sexuality? It's got both. So we have before they cross the children of Israel cross into the promised land, go over here to where they're supposed to be in the promised land. Some of the people say, "Hey, I want to stay over here. This is beautiful." Same thing as Lot said. Beautiful land. It's like a trap. It's the easy life. The easy life. That's a beautiful, well-watered. I can take care of myself. I'll prosper. I don't need a lot of help. This is all Israel's all about. A need. God has to supply their needs. He has to supply rain. He has to supply all the things for their needs over here. They're more dependent over here. Here is they're more independent. They don't really need God too much. They think. So 3 tribes stay over here. There's Manasseh, half the tribe of Manasseh. There's Gad, and there's Reuben. One thing, and why these two are over there, I don't know. But Reuben, that is symbolically, I don't know. But Reuben should have been the firstborn son. He should have ruled this. He should have been the one that dominated. The kingly line should have come through Reuben. If it's the firstborn, but he lost his rights as a firstborn because of sexual impropriety with his, I guess you'd call it his stepmother, the concubine of his father. Anyway, he was sleeping with the wrong. He was sleeping with somebody his father was sleeping with. So his father said, "You're out. You're not going to be the." So here he's the smallest one on the wrong side of the river. Is where he ends up to be. Reuben, the tribe of Reuben, his inheritance, his prodigy. So over here then is Ammon and Moab. And guess what? These guys don't like these guys too much. Basically, they've come in, taken over some of the land that they've had all their lives, and there's always fighting, wars going on, and well, not so much really wars. It's more of an influence. These people doesn't talk much about wars between these two. But anyway, Israel said, God told Israel, don't wipe these people out. Don't fight them. Don't go to war with them. Don't conquer them. Don't bully them. They are your relatives, and keep them, keep a relationship with them, basically, is what he's saying. So that's significant. That's significant in that if this is, in fact, talking about sexuality, which, man, it is. If you look at it, even now, I think it's overwhelming the ideal that this is sexuality, but it's going to see it more. Every incident ever in the Old Testament about Moab or Ammon is about sexuality. So God says, "Hey, don't." So these people are living over here. Actually, when they conquer Israel, they all go together. When they come back, they build a big monument. They're building a big monument right here. And these people said, "Hey, you're already worshiping idols. We're going to kill you." They go, "No, this is not an idol. What this is, it's a symbol that's going to say, don't say we don't belong to you. Don't say that we are outside of Israel. We're outside of God's people. That we don't belong. This right here on this border is going to say, we are God's people also." And so the established said, "Yes, you are." So we got people over here living on this side. And this is about carnality, right? In the Bible, you would call this carnality. So, is there such a thing as a carnal Christian? Well, Paul talks about the Corinthians, and he said, "You're carnal Christians." And you can see that they were caught up in their society. The society they lived in, Corinth, was also very sexual. A lot of prostitution was going on there because it was a sailor's town, port city. So where you're going to have a lot of sailors, you're going to have a lot of prostitutes. So they were carnal. So anyway, this is this thing. Don't say carnal people that are carnal Christians. You're not committed enough. You're out of it. We don't have anything to do with you. So this is one symbol here. Is that? So let's go on. What's the next? Well, there's quite a few, but I just want to go on. I'm going to go straight to the ones that have to do with David, King David. So there was a king over here, the king of Ammon. He died, and he was a friend of King David. They were friends. He wasn't at war. David was at war with everybody except for these two kings, king of Moab and the king of Ammon. So they were friends. This king died, so he was replaced by his son, of course. Got a new king. And you got the new king of Ammon. So David sent emissaries over there. Just sent some people. Say, I'm sorry, your father's died, and I want to welcome you. He was my friend. You're going to be my friend. I'm extending a hand to you. So what did the king of Ammon do? He goes, no, you're coming over here to spy us out. You want to control us. You want to dominate us. This is a fear you're going to see when almost every conversation that the Ammonites and Moabites have this thing. They're afraid of being controlled. They're afraid of being dominated because this is more powerful than them. So they've got this fear. They didn't want the people to pass to their lands to the promised land because of fear of domination. But what they're into is domination. So you're going to see every relationship between these two, Israel and Ammon and Moab, is going to be one of domination, not one of war, not of war and conquering, but of control. Control, not war. So what happens when they go over here? They get his emissaries. They cut off their beards. He's got a whole bunch of guys that come over. They're his emissaries. They're coming over. They're all happy. Hey, we're all friends. They got their little clothes on here. And they're very happy. And the beard shows their masculinity, that they're men. So what does the king of Ammon do? He cuts off their garments, exposing what shouldn't be exposed. Then they shave off their beards. Both of these are acts not of war, but are of humiliation. They've humiliated them. And this is what sexuality, the power of sexuality, a lot of it is humiliation, right? Oh, you got caught, such pastor got caught doing this. He's humiliated. Doesn't destroy, but humiliation it ain't no good. Even if you've been a parent and kids come in you accidentally at the wrong time, you go, well, it's a bit humiliating, right? You kind of hide. That's not. Anyways, so then David gets, of course, he gets ticked off, and he's going to go. He's going to say, okay, that's it. You humiliated my guys. I'm going to attack you and bring you back under control. You're out of control. These guys are out of control, and they're trying to dominate through humiliation. You're out of control. I'm going to get you back under control. So he attacks them, and what they do is, there's another tribe up here called Aram. They become the descendants. They are descendants of Babylon, or the Chaldeans. That's a whole other lesson we're going to go into. But they show up here, and then they eventually become, their descendants becomes the people of Babylon, and they're all about M-O-N-E-Y, money. They hire these guys to fight for them. They don't want to fight. These guys are not about war. When war shows up, they hire a bunch of goons to come down here. We're going to pay you money to fight, and they lose. But once again, then after he conquers them, David conquers them, this is what he does. He gets all the men, he makes them lay down on the ground. Every man in Ammon lays down on the ground. And he says, kill every other one. Kill this one. Right? Kill this one. Kill this one. Kill this one. Kill this one. Leave the others. So he's weeding them out. Why? He's lessening their control. He's lessening their power. He's just not going to wipe them out. He's going to cull them down. He's going to cut them down. He's going to make them where they're manageable. So, when sexuality gets out of hand, it's dominant. Wants to dominate. Wants to control. Every thought is sex, 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 sex. Every deed. It's got to be cut down. It's got to be culled out. There's nothing wrong with sex. It's just this domination. It's not supposed to control us. See, we're supposed to control it. It's definitely a control issue. Okay, well, I want to go back one more that I forgot about that was, I think, very important. It's when Moses was coming across here. He hires a guy from Ammon. Once again, he hires a guy from Aram called Balaam. I think it's spelled right. I think I might be right. Called Balaam. It's not right either. So he hires Balaam to curse. Once again, Balaam, money. He hires him to curse. They don't want to fight the Israelites. He wants them to curse the king. This is the king of Moab. I forget if it's the king of Moab. Yes, the king of Moab. Hires them to curse them. Then he goes, well, I can't curse them. God won't let me curse them. They're God's people. So what does he do? After he doesn't curse them, he still wants his money. This is all about greed, and this is all about Babylon, and it's all about the Chaldeans. We'll see it in another lesson. This is what he says. Get your women. The Israelites are camped here. Just get all your women and send them in there in the camp at night and start having sex with all the men of Israel. And God will get mad at them, and he will not bless them. He will curse them for letting your women dominate his men because of this domination, sexual domination. So he said, this is your power. This is what Balaam was saying. Here's your power, not war. You're not a warrior. If you're a warrior, you would have attacked. You're not. Send your women in there, have sex with them, God will curse them. So he did. So there was a Phinehas, Aaron's son, who would soon become the high priest after Aaron died. Phinehas, who represents what? What's the priesthood have to do with? It's the law. Phinehas came in and killed one of these women. She was having sex with a guy. Pinned him with a spear. Killed both of them. So they drove the women out. And then what did they say to do? What did God say to do? Get every woman. Remember, we had all the men killed in David's time. Here we have the women. Every woman that's not a virgin, kill her. Kill her. Oh, you're a virgin? You're spared. Because they were the weapons. They were the warriors. They were they were using to destroy Israel. But they didn't want to wipe them out. Once again, it's control. And we see also in one of my other lessons that on this side, the law is kept alive on this side. That is, there has to be some kind of control of your sexuality. So over here we have, there's just, sexuality has control issues, and there's, the law still has something to do that is not the law, meaning if there's a physical, these physical desires, and there has to be some physical control or mental control or some kind of control like that over the flesh. Because this is where the flesh dominates in your sexuality. So, I think, I mean, there's a lot and lots more, but I mean, if this isn't established in your mind, then you're going to get it established. But there are lots of stories. The story of Japheth is all about the judge that came from Manasseh. That's about sexuality. Oh, on a positive note, we will look at Ruth on a positive note of sexuality. So this is mainly about the dangers of, and there's plenty of dangers. But we have Ruth, who is a Moabite, and she travels. It's a famine, so she travels over here, and she meets, what's his name? David's grandfather. I forget his name. Whoever, they have Ruth. Anyways, Ruth comes over, and she does not try to dominate sexually, but there's a very sexual message here. So we have her prospective husband. He's lying down here sleeping, and what does Ruth do? She comes and lies down. It's a bad place to put her head. She lies down at his feet and sleeps there. She doesn't try to, like the Moabite women of the past, she didn't like roll over on him and say, okay, once I've got you sexually, I got you. I'm going to trap you. No, she's in a submissive role. And after she becomes into the submissive role, they marry, and they have a child. That child's name is Jesse. Is that how you spell Jesse? And then his son is King David. So here's the one instance of a Moabite woman, or any kind of a Moabite, that has a positive, and it is super positive. You can't get more positive than that. By being the descendant of David, God is stamping his approval on here. Big O stamp. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Nothing wrong with sex, nothing wrong with sexuality. It's just got to be an appropriate, submissive context. When it is, it's all good. Unfortunately, majority of the time, it's not. Or if it's in society, it's just, of course, it's just rampant. Oh, I gotta do one more thing. And that's about the resurgence of homosexuality. It's very important. It's really happening in our society today. So you can see that one generation. Okay, so we had David, positive sexual relationship with his heritage came from through Ruth, right? And then he has Solomon. Extremely negative. He had 600 wives and 300 concubines. When he died, this was the downfall of him. When he died, he left his crown to Rehoboam. Lift his crown to Rehoboam. That was the new king. Not very good at my spelling here. Okay, lift his crown to Rehoboam. Rehoboam's mother, one of these 600 wives, who a lot of them were married for political reasons, was, guess where she was from? Rehoboam's mother was a Moabite. And not a good one. So, when Solomon had married all these wives, he started bringing in the temples, and they brought in the temples to Israel, Moabite temples, and what they did in there, they had shrine prostitutes at a shrine, and to worship, you'd have sex with the shrine prostitute and pay her. Like, here's your tithe, and you'd get your sexual favors. So this happened in Solomon's reign, and then in the reign of Rehoboam, they brought in the male prostitutes. Male shrine prostitutes. So, boy, what does that tell you about what's going on today? Here's a complete acceptance of homosexuality. The complete opposite of what God was doing here in Sodom and Gomorrah. The complete opposite of the whole history of trying to control this, control it. When it gets completely out of control, all sexuality is validated. Female prostitutes are validated, then male prostitutes are validated. Everything goes. So, and from David, only 2 generations from David, we have male prostitutes in the city of Jerusalem, a big male prostitute whorehouse that where you would, but it had religious connotations. You could be a gay Israelite, and no one would say a word about it. It had become accepted into the society, but God did not accept it. It was wiped out during the reign of, I forget who this kid was Joash. Stayed there for about 200 or 300 years. This went on, left unchecked. And then when Joash found the book of the Bible, they hadn't been even reading their Bible. They had really no idea what the Bible was or God's rules were. They found the Bible, they read it. Joash destroyed that, kicked those guys out, destroyed it, and restored order. So, boy, if that ain't true, like I said, there's more and more stories about it. Every story, there's several, but I've already gone way too long. Okay, that's it then. Thank you.